Hello, Ducks fans. Welcome to another episode of the Quack Report. Today, you will see a couple extra faces here, or if you're just listening, you'll hear a couple extra voices in a minute. We are joined by Cori and Richie from the Sporty with Cori and Richie show, the hosts that cover the Arizona Coyotes as part of the Hockey Podcast Network. So we are very excited to be joined by these two. Once again, we've had them on before if you're a long-time listener. So Cori and Richie, thank you guys very much for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. We're recording on Halloween Day, and it's very exciting. Cori and I have big plans for the night, so thanks for having us on. It's been a while, guys. Nice to see your faces again.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys again as well. We always have good conversations, even just if it's like over Twitter or whatever. So we I think we've built up a pretty good rapport with each other. Hey.
Yeah, and our shows are like our shows are two of the OGs on the network too, and we're still around. So.
Yeah, they are. Actually, I didn't even think about that one. But sweet. Look at us go. Look, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought?
I heard Cori mention music as well. Yeah, we all have very similar tastes in music. That's what we were talking about just off air. So it's it's very cool stuff.
Bonding point, because there's only like a section of us in the network, including Isha too, that really like the same music. So every single time we always go on like a long tangent about all of it on Twitter, I swear. I think it's always just the same few of us, but at least we know we're the cool ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would if you had everybody at the network and in like the lunchroom or something like that, we're obviously at the cool table. So
we like to think so anyways.
Yeah. Maybe that proves that we're not actually the cool table if we're thinking that.
Yeah.
You only call yourself the cool table if you're not the cool table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, I think we can. We have you guys on obviously for a specific reason, and that is to talk about the Arizona Coyotes. Now, I'm not even sure how much you guys want to talk about the Arizona Coyotes, considering where they are currently and just kind of the whole situation around this team. I'm just going to double check with the standings, but as of October 31st, I'm pretty sure they are sitting 32nd out of 32 teams, with only Chicago ahead of them being the only team to not also have a win yet. They have the additional overtime loss. So I guess my first question for you guys is going like in this off season, Arizona made a lot of different trades and whatnot for, just bad contracts, like getting rid of cap and that kind of stuff to really try to restart, just to be able to start on this rebuild for you guys. Going into this season, what were your realistic expectations for where you think this team could end up or what they're capable of?
Yeah, this is one of the things that Cori and I felt like our main topic of conversation throughout the offseason, and even now at this point, because there's not much hockey to talk about. It's all bad at this point. We're recording on Sunday, and the Coyotes are playing the Hurricanes as we're recording right now. Hurricanes are the best team in the league. The Coyotes are the worst team in the league, and somehow, some way, late in the third period, that game is tied at 1 goal apiece, which is insane to me. But to answer your question, there wasn't much this season. We knew it was going to be bad. We knew the Coyotes were going to be among the worst teams in the league, and we knew it was going to be a season of transition for this team. We knew it was going to be a season of a new head coach and a general manager in his first full season as a GM, trying to instill a new culture inside this organization. And we knew the on-ice product wasn't going to be great, and for the most part it hasn't. There's been maybe one big bright spot this year so far, and we can get into that a little bit later. But as far as everything else is concerned, like we knew it was going to be bad. And the only thing I think Cori and I were looking forward to this year, we were more looking forward to seeing the progression of the Tucson Roadrunners, the AHL affiliate of this team, as opposed to the actual National Hockey League team. And so it was a year that we kind of wanted to see a lot of the prospects and see how they continue to progress and see how they continue their development. And so far, like Josh Stone, for example, playing right now for Arizona State in the NCAA. Shane Doan's kid. Coyotes drafted him in the second round this year, having a great season so far at ASU, among other players. And so that's for me and Cori, I think that's the biggest thing is we just want to see some of these younger players take some steps forward in their time in the AHL, and it's early in the AHL season, but I think the returns are good so far for some of the younger players in the organization.
The other part of it too is being able to see. I personally, for me, it was funny after a few glasses of wine last night. I went on a little tangent about Barrett Hayden and the fact that he really has developed so slowly and so poorly that I wonder if the effort that's being put into him is really worth it anymore, or whether he could be used for another person on the trading chopping block because of the fact that I was working with the team, was there watching him be put in, the press area and being talked to and really just getting him through that developmental point so well that me and a friend of ours, Kat, we were both like, this is fantastic. He's going to come in and he's going to play so well because of how well they're developing him. And he has come out and not even played half of what we expected him to play. So I have a feeling it's going to be another kind of Dylan Strome situation where, we thought Strome was eventually going to be able to get his skating where he needed to be at an NHL level, and he never did. You can see that now. He's been a healthy scratch as of recent and in this season. So it's one of the things that I'm very closely watching because I thought he would be much better than he is now. I understand he's a center, so it makes him a little bit more valuable, but not valuable enough for him to not be on the chopping block as another person to try and use as an asset. The only problem that I worry about is that he's not worth much.
Mm-hmm. Taking a look at Daily Faceoff today, they have Barrett Hayden listed as your number one center currently. I know Daily Faceoff can be just a little bit off at times, but does that sound about right, how it's been going the last little while?
Unfortunately, yes. Barrett Hayden was only called up because of some injuries that the Coyotes had on their forward group. But, it's been that kind of season. It's been the kind of season where Christian Fischer, who is a power forward winger, was playing some center earlier this season. That's the kind of season the Coyotes are having, ladies and gentlemen. And Cori and I were talking about this on a couple of our episodes too, which is like, I'm surprised Barrett Hayden should only be at the NHL level at this point due to injury, right? He should not be playing at the NHL level in this year because he's still not ready. He still needs that time in the AHL. And if we've seen anything, and I think Connor Garland is a great example of it, where sometimes you just got to and Michael Bunting, who is off to a great start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, sometimes you just got to let these guys marinate at the AHL level and learn the game more and get better in every aspect of their game, and eventually it will pay off. And for Barrett Hayden, I feel like he just came in too quickly, too fast out of the gates with too high expectations, and it's not quite showing up in the results. So I hope he gets back to the AHL and has a good season, but it sounds about right. Yeah, he's the Coyotes 1C for now, because go look at their center depth. Hey, they ain't got none. I think Andrew Ladd is on there. I think. Yeah,
I'm taking a look at it right now. It has from 1 to 4. It's Barrett Hayden, Johan Larsson, Jay Beagle, and then Christian Fischer. But yeah, I was taking a look at your guys' injuries before this, and I'm like, okay, I know the Coyotes are pretty bare bones as it is. But wow, did the injuries really hurt your lineup in terms of recognizability, I think. You have I'll call him your starting goaltender in Carter Hutton currently on the injured reserve. It's showing Ryan Dzingel, Nick Schmaltz is day-to-day, Conor Timmons.
Call him that.
What's that, sorry?
Carter Hutton should not be called anyone's starting goaltender. Whether you want to whether he is or not, he should never be officially called that, just for the sake of talking about it.
As well as Alex Galchenyuk. But yeah, I was kind of taking a look at the roster as well, and I'm like, okay, I knew it was pretty bare bones, but wow, this is a team that was already hurting and hurting even more, it seems like. You guys still do have Phil Kessel, though, who has definitely been in trade talks currently. I believe he's in the last year of his contract that was signed back in his days in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, where Toronto is still paying $4 million of his salary each year. And that was that original trade to Pittsburgh. What kind of, I guess if you guys were to think of what's something that you guys would be looking for if you were the GM of the Arizona Coyotes and you have Phil Kessel on the block and a team's interested? What are you looking for, you think, in a return?
Go ahead, Cori.
There's actually, to be honest with you, I would like even more draft picks, because I know that sounds weird. There's 5 that are in the second round just next year.
You're stocking them up.
Because the stockpile, I feel like, becomes more and more valuable to be traded for more and more first round picks. And I think that becomes when you're a very deadly team, in the fact that now I'm trying to remember who it is. It was Landeskog, and who was drafted at the same time as Landeskog from the Avalanche in that same season. And the fact that they had those 2 first round picks that ended up paying large dividends for them. And that's where the Coyotes can literally take multiple stars from from multiple first round picks and be able to use that as a solid core moving forward, adding on to the core that they have now. And that's what I think this team really needs, considering the fact that some of the players that they have that they're developing are looking good and some of them aren't. So you need to even replace some of the younger guys. There's a lot of bare bones to this organization, and it's going to take a lot for it to come up, and there needs to be some superstars in it, and not now superstars. They tried that with Taylor Hall and it didn't work. You need superstars in the making that are going to be the next generation, per se, of the NHL, and being able to see ones that they could build around for the future of not just on the ice, but stardom. When it comes to this team is in a weird flux. They don't have an official arena as of next season. And then they are trying to build one in Tempe and are fighting with the airport and are doing a bunch of things. And it is so hard because a lot of people don't realize they're going through a rebuild, because they're more casual fans. They go, well, we've heard this before. And so they're not really showing up to games. They're not really supporting. And I get it, it's very hard when they are absolutely atrocious, but they need those superstars coming up in order for this team to be a viable business plan as well.
Sorry, Carter. I just want to ask one more question here quick, and then I'll let you get to it. I'll let you get a word in. But yeah, you brought up, the trying to relocate, I guess, to a new arena in Tempe and stuff like that. Are you guys, or were you at all worried that potentially the Arizona Coyotes may no longer be a thing after next season? There was the talks of somewhere like Houston or even Quebec City, which, as much as that one makes sense location-wise, it doesn't, I think, just with the divisions and all that, how they just got them aligned to be even again this year. But Houston seemed like a quality spot for them, or was that a worry ever for you guys, that you might not have your Coyotes anymore?
No, it wasn't. Cori and I did an entire 45-minute episode on this a while back. If anybody's listening to this and wants to hear a deep dive into that situation, and one of the things we talked about was, listen, as long as Gary Bettman's the commissioner of the National Hockey League, the Coyotes will not leave Arizona. Period. They've had numerous opportunities to move this team out of Phoenix, and they've never done it. Gary Bettman needs the city of Phoenix to succeed in a way, and I think it's his baby, kind of, which is why they haven't gone anywhere, and so they're not going anywhere. But however, I have proposed an idea, which is not all that there is some precedent to it, and you're seeing it in Major League Baseball right now too, which is the Tampa Bay Rays have proposed splitting their seasons, home games, between Tampa Bay and Montreal, because Unfortunately, during the regular season, nobody shows up to Tampa Bay Rays games, even though they're one of the best teams in the American League. And so I proposed this on a show recently where, and I don't know if this is, it's not likely to happen, but I'm just going to put it out there, where the Coyotes split their home games with a different city for a couple of seasons while they build the new arena. Because, let's be honest, and Cori and I have talked about this, the infrastructure here in terms of finding another rink for this team to play at for 41 games a year, I don't think is quite there. And so basically what I'm thinking might happen, and I don't know how long it's going to take to do this, but right now the likeliest place they would play at is at a building that is damn near 50 years old. It hasn't been renovated in decades, and it needs an entire new ice system to even have a hockey rink built in there. It was the former home of the Phoenix Roadrunners back in the 70s, but the infrastructure that needs to be rebuilt there basically completely is going to take millions of dollars to do, and I don't know if they're going to have time to do that by the time a year from now rolls around. So basically, I was just tossing around the idea of, while they wait for that rink to get rebuilt, basically, so they can put games back in at Veterans Memorial Coliseum, they go just play their home games elsewhere for half a season, right? They did that when the River Arena was still being built, right before it opened. They played the first half of their season at their old building at America West Arena, and then they moved across the street here to Glendale, I think in December. So they've done it before where they've split games between a couple different arenas. But to answer your question, no, they're not going anywhere. They're not. And only way they would go anywhere is if this Tempe proposal falls through and then they legit have nowhere to play. And then maybe you're forced to move them unless something else crazy happens. But for now, as long as Gary Bettman is the commissioner, they will not leave the state of Arizona. Period. End of story.
Cori, are you agreeing with Richie on this, or do you have a different side to this?
I feel like everyone hopes that I had a different side of this, because I feel like it's the fun thing to say is, oh, the Coyotes are going to be moving somewhere. But no, I 100% agree with Richie on it. There's no reason why Bettman would honestly want the Coyotes to move when he's vouched for them so many times. He's basically put his own name on the line for this team to stay here in Phoenix, because he's said on so many occasions that he thinks that it's viable here in Arizona, and that the team should stay here, and bailed them out and did all of this stuff. So him doing that would be kind of a stain on his own name. So I don't believe he would be doing that either. There is a viability for this team to be in this state. They just need to get out of Glendale, for one. They need to be getting over to the East Valley, where you have a lot more people who are hockey fans in general, because of the fact that, no matter how it is in Arizona, we can't just go outside and play pond hockey. It's not the same thing here. So you have to be able to pay for ice time, and it's not cheap. It's very expensive to play here in Arizona. And so in order to have more people really interested, you need to be moving this team closer to the East Valley, where there is more money and more players and more rinks. Honestly, there's a whole lot more rinks on that side of town. And a lot of them are ran by former NHL players. So there is a lot of actual investment over on that side of the valley. So if they move that way, you will see a lot more out of it. Also in Tempe, Richie and I know over anyone else and the fact that you will have college students coming to hockey games. Hockey games are fantastic for that age group, because they're a lot more exciting than basically any other sport. So you will have a bunch of kids who are already getting invested because of the fact that next year, correct, Richie, is when ASU's arena will officially be built.
Yep. Yes.
They will have that invested in them, and they'll have a couple of years for them to really get into that, and then to have an NHL team literally right there. It's going to be amazing. I'm sure they used to do college nights and do special pricing tickets for those and stuff like that. It's so worth the investment if they get it to work out. It's just fighting through, honestly, Sky Harbor Airport, who wants to try and complain about certain things here and there about the flight path and how you'd only have planes about 450 feet above the arena.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was kind of wondering as well what the effect of the Arizona State University Sun Devils would have with the Arizona Coyotes as well, because from what I've gathered, at least through social media and stuff like that, I'd actually love to get to an ASU game at some point. They look super fun, and the team is really just that program at the school has developed really well. And it was kind of cool to see just online, at least, kind of the journey of Joey Decord. He was a fantastic goaltender. Now, I believe he's the backup currently with the Seattle Krack, and as Chris Drieger is out with injury. But yeah, I was kind of wondering what the school kind of might have the effect, or what effect the school might have on the Coyotes and that kind of thing. So it's good to hear that you guys are optimistic, though. It would definitely be a little bit weird, I think, at this point if the Coyotes weren't a team anymore, right? Like that they were something else or another. So
yeah, I do really like the idea that of splitting home games between somewhere else, because I think it would also be just kind of a soft, I guess, a risk-free way of finding future expansions, because, I don't know, Gary Bettman probably will want to expand more in the future, even though 32 is a nice even number to split everything up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even just splitting home games between Arizona and Houston, I think would be a really cool idea to see if Houston's a viable market and try and expand the game a little more. So
there's precedent for doing it too, right? When the New Orleans Hornets were coming out of Hurricane Katrina, they split some of their home games with Oklahoma City. And if I'm not mistaken, that was prior to the Sonics leaving Seattle. So they were kind of the test case for Oklahoma City as a basketball market. And of course, then a couple years later, the Thunder came in, and they're still there doing pretty well to this day. So a lot of precedent out there in professional sports for splitting between a couple different cities, albeit for different matters and situations. But
yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story for the NBA. So, and that was a great story, I think. So, and it definitely worked out, right? So, because there's also, I think was that along the same lines with the Golden State Warriors as well, that they received a team because of that, I think.
Maybe it's possible. I'm not privy to that. You may be right. I don't know. My Golden State Warriors history isn't very great, surprisingly.
My NBA knowledge isn't all that great, but I remember hearing something about that as well. So, but I thought that was pretty cool. So, Carter, I'll quit talking now. You can ask a couple questions.
Okay. I was just going to throw it to a quick break over with our friends at DraftKings here, and then on the other side of that, I'll have some questions for you guys here.
NFL fans, are you hungry for a big win this week? Well, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has you covered. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game, and if they do, you win $200 in free bets. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code THPN, and bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game, and you can win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win, with promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, welcome back. As you guys can see, Cori had to take off, but we still have Richie. So we will continue the Arizona Coyotes talk. I think Cori left at a decent time, because now we're getting into the hard questions, and you just get to deal with all of them, Richie.
Yes.
So well played, Cori. But okay, so my biggest question that I really wanted to get answered here, obviously, aside from Carter Hutton, because that's an easy one, at least for me, how do you pronounce your goalies' names?
Karel Vejmelka is the current starting goaltender. And then I'm assuming you're referring to Ivan Prosvetov, who is the current backup goaltender. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I had the backup right at least.
Yeah. That one you can kind of sound out. Karel Vejmelka, is that right?
Yes. Well done.
Thank you. What's his deal? I've literally never heard of him until this year, but it seems like he's a great story. Doing great.
He's an amazing story. He's probably been the one shining light that I was referring to earlier in the show. He's been incredible. Just to kind of give you a synopsis of this guy's story. He was playing pro in the Czech Republic overseas, right? And has never played a game of North American hockey until this season. Okay?
Wow.
So coming into this season, Coyotes signed him to a contract. Nobody really knew who he was. I think a lot of us were expecting a different goaltender to come in and grab that backup spot. The former goaltender with the San Jose Sharks, whose name escapes me at the moment, who they acquired in the Aiden Hill trade. But Vejmelka came into training camp and crushed it during the preseason, and he earned the backup slot. And he's come in and he's played amazing hockey. And for example, go watch the highlights of the Hurricanes and Coyotes game from Sunday, and you will see what this kid has in store. Because he faced, I'm going to pull up the stats here. Again, best team in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes. They have the best goal differential in the NHL. They were scoring the most goals per game in the NHL. They were giving up the least goals per game in the NHL. And Karel Vejmelka comes in on the road in Carolina and stops 37 of 39 shots against the Hurricanes in an eventual Coyotes loss. But still, you're looking at a guy whose save percentage is in the 900s, whose goals against average is, I believe somewhere around 2.7 or something like that. And he's been the best story on the Coyotes this year, playing great. And I don't think anybody expected this, but this is the fun part about sports and talking about sports is we get stories like this, which are so incredible. And unfortunately for the Coyotes, the funny thing about him is that he's going to keep them in games where they really shouldn't be in it. For example, the Hurricanes game. Yeah. And in a season where you're wanting to tank, he's probably going to steal some wins for the Coyotes this year. And I hope that doesn't affect their place in the standings and cost them the best chance at getting the number 1 overall pick. But he's been fun to watch for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I had to take a look at his stats just for this season to kind of get an idea of that. And I mean, they're basic stats, obviously. It's not even getting into the advanced stuff, but you take a look at it. 6 games played, 0 wins, 4 losses, and an overtime loss, but a 2.74 goals against and a 913 save percentage. Right. That is insanely hard to, I think, have those numbers on a team that has literally not won a game yet this season. That's very impressive.
Yeah. I don't even think you need the advanced stats for that. Look at this last game. You hold the best team in the league to only 2 goals. Really 1 goal up until the last few minutes there. That's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's going to be able to continue the hot streak, but we're going to enjoy it while we still can. And I hope we never see Carter Hart start another game for the Coyotes. I don't understand why he's still around. He was a waste. He gave up 13 goals in his first 2 starts as a Coyote this year. His save percentage, I believe his save percentage was under 800 for his first 2 games this year. So it was, it was a little rough there. A little rough.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm looking at Hutton's stats. 3 games played this season, 2 losses, a 776 goals against average, and a 741 save percentage. Oh.
That's bad.
Wow. That's bad.
The tank is on, everybody. The tank is on.
You guys are at least going full for it. With Anaheim, it was always I don't know. We're shit. Oh, okay. We happen to suck. Okay, we'll take the 3rd overall pick. Whatever. There was never really, I think, until this year, the hey, we're gonna do this kind of mentality. Right. So at least you guys are there, and
doing it right.
Exactly. You're doing it right, and the fan base knows that at least, right? To compare it to the Anaheim market, we were all it seemed like, oh yeah, they're trying to make a playoff push, and it's you want to do that with this roster though? It's not going to happen. Where is this coming from and whatever? So it's a little bit more confusing here, but at least there's clarity with the Arizona Coyote fan base from the management group. So
Yeah, it's funny watching Coyotes Twitter on game nights, and like everybody knows it's going to be shit this year, but it's still just as painful. And but I think everybody kind of understands that we all know what's at stake here, the number 1 overall pick. And if the Chicago Blackhawks screw us over and earn that number 1 overall pick in the draft lottery, I'm gonna break some stuff. Let's just say that for sure, for multiple reasons.
We won't get too deep into it, but I don't think that $2 million to Chicago was really enough. I think that draft pick at minimum should have been included in there just to even push them aside a little bit more. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But yeah.
Yeah. The my next question for you here. You guys lost a lot of, I guess we'll call them key pieces, guys that have been around for a while in the offseason, or some bigger names, we'll say. Like Kemper, Ekman Larson. I want to throw Conor Garland into there, not because he's been around for a while, but I think he was a key piece of your team last year, it looked like. So who do you think was the biggest loss to your team? And it can be a couple guys if you want as well.
I'd say Conor Garland for sure, because I feel like he was one of those guys that was really starting to kind of turn himself into a leader on the team, not only on the ice, but off the ice, and his commitment to getting better and better. Great to talk to, too. Great interview. I enjoyed talking to him anytime I chatted with him when it's time in town. And he was a guy that was only getting better, right? I think he was starting to get more recognition from around the league as a legit, player on the roster and a legit scorer. And he was only getting better. He was getting better defensively. He was getting better in terms of distributing the puck. He was becoming a better goal scorer. And so that one kind of hurt a little bit for sure, I think, more so than the OEL trade did or the Kemper trade did. Because I think a lot of people invest a lot in Conor Garland, and it sucked to see him go. But at least they got the draft pick there, and that turned out to be pretty good for the Coyotes, because that draft pick is actually playing pretty well right now. And I believe he's playing in the Dub this year, if I'm not mistaken. His name escapes me though. I don't remember the kid's name, unfortunately.
That was my next question. So yeah, but that's okay. Yeah. So you don't think the loss of Kemper or OEL was a big
expected.
Deal? Expected.
It was expected, right? Darcy Kemper's on the last year of his contract. He wasn't coming back anytime soon. Liked Darcy for Vezina, always, as I like to say. And then OEL, great guy, okay captain, really well liked by Coyotes fans. Did a lot in the community here, but it was just time for him to go. So outside of that, I think those were the big ones that hurt the most. Probably was just Conor Garland, for sure.
Gotcha.
So I have a question of during this offseason, you guys did take on a lot of bad, we'll call them contracts or that kind of thing. Players who they aren't in their primes anymore, just to get some draft picks in return and stuff like that. Are there any of these players though that were considered those bad contracts? Are there any of them that you were actually excited to have on the Coyotes going into this season?
I would say maybe Shane Gostisbehere, because I think he got kind of a raw deal in Philadelphia. He just didn't gel with that coaching staff there for whatever reason, and he's still got a couple years left on that contract. And I wonder if a change of scenery would help him. And surprisingly, had another assist today for the on Sunday at least. And he's actually doing fairly well this year. I believe he's leading the team in points, if I'm not mistaken. So,
nice.
I'd say he's probably the only piece that they got that I'd say, okay, well, maybe you can kind of put him on your blue line for the next couple of seasons and still be around as a nice player that you can put on your power play and do well there. Doesn't expect much defensively, but he's still going to put up a decent amount of points. And the other player that they got in the Darcy Kemper trade to Conor Timmons, the defenseman, is they signed him to a new contract in the offseason. He's hurt now, going to be out for a while, but he's another guy that I felt like just wasn't able to crack the lineup in Denver because Colorado's blue line is so good. He was just kind of the seventh man out there. And so coming to the Coyotes, I think he was a guy who you were expecting to play top 4 minutes, and he was until he got hurt. And he's going to be a guy who I think is going to be able to stick around for this team for a little bit and continue to develop and continue to get better, because some of the Avalanche fans I was talking to, and I think Cori and I were guests on the Avalanche podcast after the Kemper trade, tell it as it is. And even Griffin was talking about how much he liked Conor Timmons as a player. So between those two, it's like those are probably the only players that they really got that are going to stick around for any length of time. Other than that, everybody else is gone, which is the great thing of what Bill Armstrong did, is he brought in a bunch of one-year contracts. They're all going to be wiped out next season, and then you're basically going to be able to you're going to have to rebuild your roster from scratch, which is kind of nice, I guess. So hopefully that answered your question.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. Yeah. And you're right. Your guys' GM there definitely set himself up for a very busy summer next year. If I'm remembering off the top of my head, I think there's only like 7 or 8 contracts that go beyond this season right now. So which it's crazy. But what? No Andrew Ladd, no Jay Beagle, no Louis Eriksson getting you going in the morning.
You're gonna be shocked by this. No. Hey, Louis Eriksson, I think, has a goal this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang, what? That's what, a third of already what he scored in Vancouver? That's pretty good. That's good returns already. Yeah. I took a look here. Shane Gostisbehere is currently tied for the points lead on the Coyotes with Phil Kessel and Clayton Keller at 4 points currently.
He got his fifth on Sunday. Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. NHL.com just doesn't have it updated yet. So, but... Carter, do you have any other questions before I ask my last one? Or
yeah, I do actually. It's one that I thought of and forgot to write down. But you brought up about the new coach earlier on in the episode, Andre Tournier, who's coached the World Juniors Team Canada, and I think is a phenomenal coach, especially for a young team. So, do you just have a couple words on Andre Tournier?
Yeah, I was at his introductory press conference, and I did an episode after that and talking about how impressed I am with him. And to me, he is a guy who you bring in to start a culture and that when you come to Arizona, you know what your expectations are, and you know where you're coming to. And I made the comparison, and I know you guys aren't NBA fans, but between Andre Tournier and Monty Williams with the Suns, because that's when Monty Williams was hired with the Suns were in a similar place as the Coyotes, where they were losers. They were bottom of the barrel for a decade, and we didn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. But when Monty Williams came in, he instilled a new culture with the Phoenix Suns, so much so that they were able to convince Chris Paul to come join the Phoenix Suns. And then they showed up in the NBA Finals this past summer. And I feel like, in a way, that's what I think Andre Tournier can do. He can come in, and granted, first-time NHL coach, I think that's fine. But he's going to come in and he's going to instill a new culture with this organization. Him and Bill Armstrong together are going to be able to build something here. And I really enjoyed listening to Andre Tournier's kind of thoughts about his relationships with players and how he goes about kind of separating the player on the ice from the individual and building relationships with those players. And I'm excited to see what Andre Tournier is going to build here. And again, I think the season's kind of a wipeout. Like, I'm not expecting too much of him right now, obviously. But I liked the hire when it happened. He got rave reviews from around the hockey world in terms of his coaching ability and who he is as a person. And so I'm excited to see the kind of culture that Tournier is going to bring here to Phoenix. And I think it was a good hire by Bill Armstrong.
Do you think he sticks around, like say he sticks around for, I don't know, 5-6 years until you guys are maybe a cup contender? Do you think he's the kind of coach you want behind the bench if you're a contender? Or is he more of like that development, young player kind of coach?
Well, I think that's the reason why they hired him, is because he is a guy who can develop young players. And he mentioned this at his press conference when he was introduced, and Bill Armstrong did, I believe, which is every time he took a job, the team got better across his tenure. And so Yeah, to answer your first part of the question, I don't know if he's the guy to win this team a Stanley Cup. I don't know. Maybe it's the case where you keep him around, you build this culture, and then you do kind of what the Bulls did with Michael Jordan at some point, which is they fired their head coach, right? Doug Collins, if I'm not mistaken, at that time, who had just taken the Chicago Bulls to the playoffs the year prior, but they decided to fire him. Then they bring in Phil Jackson, and what do you know? Phil Jackson's the guy that gets them over the hump, and then they end up winning a bunch of world titles. So it's too early to answer that question, but I think he is the right guy for the job right now in terms of building a roster full of young players and getting them to invest and making them better. And I think that's an important thing for this team right now. Because, listen, they're not going to be good for another 3 years. And, we were talking about the new arena earlier. I think everybody's timeline for this team right now is 2024, 2025. Around the same time that the new rink is kind of expected to open around that time. It also happens to coincide with the free agency of a certain player from Arizona who is having a great career up in the Great White North, and who may or may not want to leave that city because I don't know, that organization can't get out of the first round to save their life, and so he becomes unhappy there. He's like, "Fuck! I hate wearing suits to games. I want to look cool. I want to wear what I want to wear. I'm gonna go back to Phoenix." That's right. I am speaking Austin Matthews coming back home in 2024 into existence. John Tavares did it, so why can't Austin Matthews?
Yeah,
there you go.
You heard it here first. Place your bets. Austin Matthews, 2024, Arizona Coyotes.
I was gonna say Matthews definitely has been paying attention to the Coyotes because he did bring up, that he was kind of done with the whole suits thing or whatever.
Yeah, he got asked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Maple Leafs have moved to. They're not required to wear suits or that, but they are business casual, so they can wear like a t-shirt or a turtleneck under their jacket at this point. So, which I mean is a step in the right direction. It's definitely time, I think, for the NHL to get to the point of the NBA, the NFL, who do the walk-ins, right, and you can kind of see what everybody's wearing and that sort of thing. It's always, I don't know, it's a way to show a little bit more personality, which in the past hockey players haven't really had, right? So you're seeing that change slowly, and I think the walk-in clothing is just going to be the next step to this. So Arizona is definitely on the forefront of making that change as well, and you'll love to see it. And speaking of great outfits, I had to bring this up before we wrap up here. Is there anything realistically better than the Kachinas? Because the Arizona Coyotes have brought them back full-time this season. I absolutely love it, and I want to add one of those jerseys to my collection. Once I'm able to actually get my hands on one. It seems as soon as they're made available, they're gone. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Kachinas returning, and are there any kits that are actually better in the NHL than those ones?
I think you'd be hard pressed to find any, right? I love the Kachina. Now, I'm one of those people that I actually like the white Kachina a little bit better than the black Kachina. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I like white jerseys better than black jerseys because black jerseys are so overdone now. There was a time 5 or 6 years ago when the black alternates were super freaking cool, right? And I remember the Coyotes having right when that revolution first started, I guess probably 2010, 2011, when more black jerseys were starting to enter the NHL, the Coyotes put out a black jersey that was an alternate logo, which has just been like swished under the rug by the organization. And for most fans, albeit I enjoyed this jersey, it was like a leaping coyote. Do you guys remember that jersey? I remember
that jersey. Yeah,
I don't actually.
Yes. No. Yeah. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. Maybe I can share my screen so you guys can see it. But so I that's why I enjoy white jerseys more than black ones, because black ones I feel like are too prevalent now, and they all look the same. But when it comes to the white Kachina, so clean. Like there's a reason why I have the bone jersey here. I went with the bone Aaron Donald jersey instead of the blue one because like it's different. It looks cool. It's like an off-white color, and it looks great. So I love the white Kachinas more than the black Kachinas, and I'm so excited to see them back. And it's like one of the few saving graces about the team this year is that white jersey on the road. If you're going to watch them lose, at least they look good doing it, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't say the same for the Anaheim Ducks. I've been vying, and a bunch of other fans as well, for the return of at least the Mighty Duck logo as the full-time thing instead of the webbed duck foot that Carter has on his chest currently. But I mean, it's even stretching it a little bit, but I know a lot of people want the original colors back as well, the eggplant and jade, so much that for the reverse retro, and that's one more question I want to ask you as well, but for the Anaheim reverse retro, arguably one of the ugliest jerseys in the history of hockey, and it was a top 3 seller for the league. So I think that's saying something. With the return of the Kachina kits as well. I remember that jersey. Sorry. If you're just listening to the podcast, we're looking at the black Arizona Coyotes alternate from around like 2010, I think it was.
It only lasted like 2 or 3 seasons, and then they got rid of it.
I didn't mind it, actually. It was a very simple jersey. I wouldn't have minded something just like by the shoulders, kind of like even just like a patch or something like that. But it was a very clean jersey, and definitely works, I think. So I do like the logo, though, for sure.
It's wild that it's like a 2010 jersey, because we had beaten from Medicine Hat. The Medicine Hat Tigers had a very similar logo, but that was in like the 90s, early 2000s, right? Yeah,
it was when like Jay Bomeister played for the Tigers and guys like that. One of the Niedermeyer brothers as well. I just can't remember which one it ever was. But yeah, so with the Kachinas returning full time, the Arizona Coyotes also arguably had one of the better reverse retro jerseys in their purple version of their alternate from the 90s there. Is that a jersey that you would like to see return, that reverse retro? Because I see you're wearing the reverse retro hat as well. So and I thought it was a clean jersey. As much as there was stuff going on, it was very to the point, I guess.
That was, I feel like amongst Coyotes fans and really amongst NHL fans in general, that was generally one of the top 4 or 5 reverse retro jerseys around. And from what I understand, those aren't coming back anytime soon, which sucks. That was an NHL and Adidas thing, and they aren't bringing it back anytime soon. I do wonder if at some point the Coyotes themselves kind of come up with, like, scrap the current red jersey, which is their 3rd jersey now, and they'll kind of rework a new 3rd jersey with this logo on it, and redo it that way. And that would be cool. So I hope it returns at some point. However, I have hopes that the green version, the original green version of the Kachina jersey, returns, which is what the purple jersey was based on. And I get crap for it all the time, but the original green version, as weird as it was, I still love it. I hope it comes back.
The green one was definitely a good jersey. I personally preferred the purple version of it.
Yeah.
So, and purple's just not really a color that you see in the NHL, right? So, and having that be a prominent color, it stood out, and in all the best ways, I think. So,
absolutely, yeah.
I agree. As somebody who being a Diamondbacks fan, their old color scheme,
gorgeous.
Of the purple and teal was great. And now they're now red now, which sucks like everybody else, but more purple. Make it happen.
Yeah, at least we can both agree on that as Diamondback, Coyotes, and Ducks fans. We can agree on bring those kinds of colors back. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I don't have any other questions, Nate. If you're good.
Yeah, I'm all good here.
Okay, cool. Well, Richie, thank you for joining us, and thank Cori for joining us at the beginning of the episode as well. It's always nice to have you guys on. If our fans want to hear some more Arizona talk and maybe go back to some previous episodes for relocation talk and all that stuff, where can they find you guys?
It's at Cori_Richie Show on Twitter, at Cori Richie Show on Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube if you search for Sporty with Cori and Richie. We are doing a series now. It's called Sporty Spirits. And what we do is we try to do this on a weekly basis, but Cori and I will pick a celebrity alcohol and we will make a cocktail with that celebrity alcohol. For example, this week, We are making a Halloween spooky inspired beverage with Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Head vodka. That's what we're doing this week. So you can go check out that video on our YouTube page. Just search Sporty with Cori and Richie and that will pop up. And if you want to listen to the show, don't expect much Coyotes talk. We usually don't do a whole heck of a lot anymore, to be honest.
That's fair.
All right, I have 2 suggestions. I've only had the one, but I have 2 suggestions being Canadian. You have to do the Wayne Gretzky, was it a whiskey? The 99 whiskey, and Ryan Reynolds has a vodka, I think.
Ryan Reynolds has a gin. A gin.
That's what it was. It wasn't a vodka.
Aviation gin. And Nate, if you've been following us at all, you know that was our first episode of Sporty Spirits. We went
we
made an aviation gin cocktail. So you can go watch that episode right now because Cori and I are both big fans of Ryan Reynolds. So that was the first one we did. But yes, I'm a big whiskey guy. So I do. If Wayne Gretzky has a whiskey, I definitely want to find it, track it down, and try it for sure.
Yeah, I'm not much of a whiskey guy, but it wasn't half bad. I'll say that much. So
hey, nice.
All right. Well, thank you very much again for joining us, Richie. You can also follow our show at Quack Report Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we're also on YouTube where you can watch full episodes. Nate, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Tatenomas, TateNhomas, as always.
Yes, and myself at Carter_Potts, POTTS_97. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. Make sure you go support Sporty with Cori and Richie, and we will see you guys next time.